the doctor said I couldn't, God said I could. And I take that and I give God glory.
It's the coach, Cece.
Big brain, hit 'em with that.
It's Coach Cece, and I have someone special with me today. I have my mom here today. Today I'm excited because we'll be sharing what albinism is and her experiences that she's had being albino. A lot of people don't really know what albinism is. They make assumptions or they just don't know. So I thought it would be interesting just to share her point of view instead of, reading it from Google, or instead of just hearing about it from a doctor or someone who hasn't actually experienced it. I thought it would be interesting to hear from her. And of course, I think the most of my mom. So I wouldn't have it any other way than for her to share her story here on my channel. So I'll start off just by giving the definition of what albinism is, and then we'll go from there. Albinism is a group of inherited disorders characterized by little or no melanin production. So with that definition, I'll allow my mom to go ahead and just start talking about albinism, or however she wants to start. We'll just let her start that way.
Okay, you ready? Hello, everyone. I would first like to say I am grateful for this opportunity to share about living the life of being an albino. I would like to say, first of all, it's honestly, truly, I give all of my strengths and all of my being able to not have a complex about being albino to my parents, who are both deceased right now, but they never treated us any different from our other siblings that were not albinos. They showed us love. They always let us know that we were beautiful. I can always remember growing up as a child how I'd always get teased, and I would go home and I would cry and tell my daddy I didn't want to go to school no more because people teased me. And my daddy always told me, they're just jealous of you because you're beautiful. You look better than them. And that kind of made me feel good, made me kind of boost me up a little bit, but yet I had to face another day of being teased again. So growing up, being an albino was very hard. I was called a lot of different names. Some of them were very belittling, hurtful, made me feel some type of way. I did kind of have a complex for a while. I was very inward as a child. I didn't do much talking. I stayed to myself. When I went to school, I always was to myself because I felt like people were talking about me, even if they weren't talking about me. If they was whispering, I thought they were talking about me. So it was hard for me to adjust to being an albino, but I will say now to all of the people who live with albinism, you were born with a purpose. I was born with a purpose, and I know now more than ever, even as at my age I am right now, I know that I have a purpose, and I believe God made me the way He did for a reason. Because back when I was growing up, I always thought, I never wanted to ever have to put anybody through. I never wanted my kids to ever. I always wanted kids when I grew up. That was never a I never said I don't ever want kids, because I always wanted kids, but I always said, God, please don't give me no kids that have albinism, because I didn't want them to go through what I went through. But I always wanted kids because I wanted to teach my kids to grow up to not mistreat people that are different. There are all types of different people in the world. There are, people with disabilities. And let me go back and say this, society and legally, they say that we have a disability. I think a disability is what you make it, and I don't consider myself disabled in any way. I have superseded everything that the doctor said that I would not do. I have done that and then some. So with that being said, I don't feel like I'm disabled. I don't ever tell people that I'm disabled. They say that I'm legally blind. I say that I have a vision impairment because I can still see. I still get around. I drive. I work every day, and I have 4 beautiful children. So I didn't let that disability hinder me from doing what I wanted to do. And that's because I give that credit for that to my parents, because they always told me, you can do whatever you want to do. If you want to drive, you can drive. If you want to work, you can work. And so with that being said, I did do just that. I put what they said and put my best foot forward. And with the help of the Lord, I believe God saw fit for me to be able to do what I do now. And that is, I work every day. I drive every day. I just got through driving in the snow, y'all. So, and people was like, "You're not gonna get out there and drive in that snow, are you?" I said, "Yes, I am." I said, "Me and the Lord finna take this car home." And me and the Lord took the car home. And I'm at home now in the comfort of my own home. So I'm just grateful for being able to tell my story, to be able to help somebody, because I know there's other people out there struggling with the same issues that I had. And I want to be able to help them to know that don't let nothing or what no one say hinder you from doing what you want to do. If you have the drive and the ambition to do something, go for it. I say go for it. You can do whatever you put your mind to do. And so, I could go on and on, because I've been living this life for 52 years. I can talk about some of the experiences I had when I was in school. Some of the experiences that I had when I was in school was, as far as education-wise, I'll get away from the name calling. I'll go with, as far as my education went, it was very difficult, but I had the best advocate in the entire world, my mother. God rest her soul. Teachers were unaware. I'm gonna say that they were unaware of albinism and what all the effects and all of the things that comes along with albinism, the vision impairment, the not being able to have bright lights put in our faces. There was a lot of things that we couldn't do as far as being out in the sun. And these were some requirements that they made for us when we were coming up in school. We had to go outside and play. We had to do PE, and it was an outside activity. And we had to have like special doctor's notes. We had to have notes from the doctor saying that, that we could only tolerate so much sun, even with sunscreen on. It was still damaging to our skin and could cause a lot of other issues, with us being out in the sun. So as far as in the classroom, I had a situation come up especially when I first moved to Arkansas from California. Well, in California, I didn't have as much problem because they were more aware of it there. And I went to a school that specialized in kids with vision impairment. So it wasn't just people with albinism, it was kids. We had blind children there. We had, it wasn't just geared towards albinism. It was for kids with all types of disabilities. And so we went there for a while. And so when I came to Arkansas in 82, they were very unaware of what albinism was. They hadn't seen a lot of it. Some of them hadn't ever seen it until they saw us, and they didn't want to accommodate us. They didn't want to let us sit at the front of the classroom. They didn't want to let us, have to walk up to the board to see different things. They didn't want, like, if they had like an overhead projector on the screen or whatever, they didn't want to make copies for us to read. And, so my mother had to come to the school on several occasions and advocate for us and make sure that these things were in place for us so that we could, do good in school. And because that was the only thing that was hindering us. We didn't have a learning disability. We didn't have, any other type of disability. We just were unable to see the board. We were unable to, be out in the sun for long periods of time. Small writing was not something we could use in school. I had to have our homework and our books had to be blown up, so they had to order special large print books for us. So these things, I just want to say to people who maybe have young kids in school or know somebody that does, there is accommodations that can be made for your children. There are things that you can ask for. You may have to get with a caseworker who deals with like maybe the school for the blind or something like that. They deal with things like that and they help. Pretty sure everywhere has it, even if you have to go to DHS to get to it. But there are different programs set up to help people, and it's not out of your pocket. You do not have to pay for it. It is state mandated that they are to accommodate children, adults even with disabilities. So, a vision impairment. So when I say vision impairment, I mean, you may not be able to see small print, or you might have to walk up to the board to read the chalkboard or whatever, because now they don't really use chalkboards. They use whiteboards mostly now. But when I was in school, they used chalkboards, and it was very hard to see in different writings. I know red was a hard color for me to see that if it was written in a book or something, unless it was large print. So I know that they have accommodations for things like that. And so for those of you who may have somebody or know somebody that may need that, I highly encourage you to seek help to get that done for your child. My brother, who is an albino as well, was held back in a grade due to not being accommodated for his vision impairment. And until my mother learned more about it and was able to, like I said, advocate for us, there was nobody else really that took the time to advocate for us. So I thank God. That's why I say I thank God for my parents. They really advocated for us. My mother stayed at the school about making sure that we had what we needed. Any questions?
Yes. I want to go back to whenever you said you superseded what the doctor said. What did the doctor say?
The doctors told me that I would never be able to drive a car. I was also told that I would never be able to work a public job. And I also was told that I would never be able to have children.
And was all of this stemming from albinism, or was it other things?
The part about having children didn't really stem from the albinism itself. I had some other issues that factored into the albinism that they thought that I would never be able to have children. But albinism was a part of that. And they strongly encouraged me to not try to even attempt to have kids. So that was always a dream of mine. And I always said, I want kids. I love kids. I've always loved kids. And my mother always had kids around. So I didn't know nothing but kids. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Okay. The next question is, were you treated the same way as Black children were?
By family, mostly yes. But I would say Others that were unaware of it or didn't have the knowledge about albinism, no, I wasn't treated the same.
In what ways do you feel like you weren't treated the same?
Just take for instance, if I was in a crowd with a bunch of black other kids, most of them always shied away. There was one person I can remember in elementary school that, you know, stuck with me even when others would shy away from me. But for the most part of them, they didn't. And I believe she had a family member that had albinism too. So she was a little bit more, she had a little bit of knowledge about it. She wasn't really sure of everything, but she didn't shy away from me or, you know, treat me any different or look at me sideways. And people used to look at me funny and, you know, whisper. You would hear people whispering all the time and saying little slack things, you know. So that right there let me know that they didn't really treat me the same.
What is the eye condition called that you had?
It's called an astigmatism, involuntary nystigmatism.
Okay. And has that affected you? Do you feel like that has affected you in a negative way, or like what effect has it had on you as a person having the eye condition?
Well, as when I was younger, I had less control over my eyes. Like they would just move involuntarily. Like I didn't make them move. And people, that was another thing. People would always tease me about that. Why are your eyes always moving like that? Why are they moving like that? Gosh, your eyes are jumping around. So as I got older, I believe I trained myself. I don't know. Either I trained myself or they just stopped doing as much movement. They still move, but they don't move near about as much as they used to move like that. They still move some, but I think I have a little more control over them now. So, yeah.
This question you've already answered. It said, is albinism considered a disability?
I would say it is if you want it to be. And the reason I say that is because just like any other disability, I've seen people with CP, I've seen people with autism beat the odds. I took care of a little girl they told they would never walk again. They would never walk, and she's walking today. So I don't. She's still disabled because she does have CP, but she superseded what the doctor said she would do. So I think it's all in the mind. I think it's all in the mindset. Just like, you know, any other thing, any other sickness or illness that you might, you know, encounter, you know, if you let it, if you want to say, you know, oh, I feel like I just can't make it no more. I'm not gonna never be able. The doctor say you ain't gonna never be able to. If I believed if I had took what the doctor said and took it to heart and just stayed right there with it, I wouldn't be driving right now. I wouldn't have no kids right now. I would not be working right now. I would be sitting at home drawing a check. And, you know, I didn't want to do that. So I made those extra efforts to do what it takes to, you know, I went out there and learned how to get out there and work. First I started out doing little small jobs, and it eventually became something that I just said, hey, I like this. I like working. I like making my own money. You know, and then I was having my daddy take me back and forth to work. He told me one day, he said, you want to drive? And I said, yes, sir, I want to drive. He said, come on, get on behind the steering wheel. And I was like, Daddy, you gonna let me drive? And I don't got no driver's license. He was like, yeah, you can drive. You do whatever else you want to do. You go to work and I pick you up from work. He said, you want to drive? You want to drive? Get behind the steering wheel. So I drove. And I ain't gonna lie, I hit a few mailboxes. I knocked down a few things, but guess what? I ain't knocking down no mailboxes no more. I'm driving. So, you know, I made a few bumps, I hit a few bumps, and, you know, I still drive with caution because there's a lot of things that I struggle to see from a distance. but I drive where I want to go. If I want to go to Houston, I drive to Houston. If I want to go to Texarkana, I drive to Texarkana. You know, I don't let it stop me. I don't let that hinder me from doing what I want to do. I don't let my what they might say a condition, my albinism, make me have a disability. No.
Were there any, you answered this one already too, I believe. Were there any health conditions associated with albinism?
Yeah, you have some health conditions. I have like you have the skin conditions, the eyes. Sometimes, like, my eyes are real sensitive to different things. Like, I can't tolerate a lot of smoke. I can't tolerate a lot of strong chemicals. The sunlight hurts my eyes if I'm in direct sunlight. As far as skin conditions, I start to peel if I get too much sunburn. I have can get blisters on my skin, which are very painful. I used to get them a lot when I was little. I've learned better now. I don't get out in the sun like that and get burned because I know what it does to you. It's very painful when you get sunburned. It's very painful.
Have you ever been taught why did you and your brothers end up albino, or did anybody ever explain how the trait works or how albinism is passed down?
Yes. Well, I actually did a term paper on albinism when I was in college. A blood condition that the mother, normally it's the mother that carries the trait that causes us to not have pigmentation in our skin. But later I have found out that it's not only the trait that the mother carries, it's a trait that the father can carry as well. So it causes them to not produce the pigment that we need in order to have the dark skin or whatever color skin, because albinism is just not in African American. I've seen Hispanic albinos, I've seen white albino, Caucasian albinos, Asian albinos. I've seen even the Nigerians have albinos. So there are different and there's different phases of albinism. There's different steps. So there's like a albinism for what we call, our albinism is with the no pigment. So we're the type 1. And then there's a type 2 that just has the eyes and the hair color, the hair color. Their skin is a little bit darker than our skin, or they have their actual skin color that they're supposed to have, but their eyes they have the vision impairment, and their hair is different, like a sandy or different color. It has the albinism traits. And then there's a 3 where their skin is dark, the color that they're supposed to be. Their hair is the color that they're supposed to be, but their eyes, they have the same vision impairment that we have too. So there's different steps to it, but the worst is the one that we have, and that's with the no pigment skin. We have all of the traits that albinisms have. Some of them have just some of the traits, but there are some that just like us that have all of the traits. The no pigment in the skin, the vision impairment, and then the hair discoloration as well.
Well, the last question was, what advice would you give to someone who is albino and trying to find their identity?
First, I would say, learn about yourself. Go do some researching, and look it up, find out all you can about it, learn, be able to educate people, because a lot of people are just not educated enough to know what albinism is, and it's not their fault. It's just not, worldwide, like African American people, like Caucasian people, like Asian people, like Hispanic people. It's not like that. It's very few people that have albinism, and so when people see it, they're unfamiliar with it, and the saying that if they don't know, then they assume. So I would say learn about it yourself, and once you learn about it, I feel like you can find yourself with that information that you get, because it was so helpful. Even though I was an adult when I took the class and did the term paper on albinism, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and it helped me to understand why people did the things that they did. It helped me to understand why people treated me the way they treated me, because they didn't really know. So I had to find out the information that I needed in order to understand other people. And it helped me to find myself and know that if you dream and you want to do something, do it. I dreamed and I did it. I dreamed of having kids and I did it. I dreamed of driving a car and I did it. I dreamed of working a job and I did it. I found myself in those things. I found myself in knowing about albinism, learning about how it's not a disability to me. I don't make it a disability. People, we have a vision impairment for the most part, and we can't tolerate a lot of sun. But other than that, it's people that have brown skin that can't tolerate a lot of sun. If you read about it, it's a lot of people that's Caucasian that can't stand a lot of sun. It's not just us. So I said, what makes me any different than them? Nothing. Other than what I make it be. If I make it be something different, you can. But if you really want to, supersede what others say about you and go above and beyond, do what you gotta do. Make it happen for yourself. Love yourself. I love me some me. I promise you that. I love me some me. And I want y'all to know that self-love is the best love you can have. If you love yourself, I promise you, people will respect you for that. Because people tell me all the time, ask me all the time, well, how do you do this? And how do you do that? How do you maintain when people talk about you? I said, I've been talked about all my life. And at this point, baby, if they can't get with me, they can miss me, because I'm good. And I love me. And this has been, even this little setup right here has been an awesome thing for me, because I really hope it goes far, because I want people to know that I hear people talk about having all sorts of problems on the Dr. Phil show and Oprah Winfrey show. They have all different talks about being different, or having one arm, or being able. I see them show people who can cook that don't have no legs, and I show people people doing different things with different disabilities and stuff like that. That's all great and good. I want to tell my story too, and I've actually got the opportunity to tell my story. No, I'm not the only albino in the world, but my story is my story, and I would love to share it as much as I can to as many people. I want this story to reach as far as it can reach. I want it to go viral, because I want people to know that you can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do. You can make the best of every situation. Anytime that they say no, I'm gonna say, when the doctor said I couldn't, God said I could. And I take that and I give God glory even when I talk about my mother and father knew God, so therefore I know God was in the head of them. So I know that's the reason why I'm where I am today. I have two brothers who do not drive, but they've superseded what the doctor said they couldn't do too. So both of them worked. Both of them did things that they, my younger brother has kids, so we've done things that the doctor said we couldn't do. And normally, another thing I just want to share with y'all is it's not very, very common for there to be 3 in one family, and it's 3 of us in my family. There's 3 albinos, and then there's 2 that are not albinos. So 3 out of 5 of us are albinos, and we didn't all come together. It was my oldest brother is not an albino. Then my second brother is an albino. Then my sister, who is above me, is not an albino. And then it's me, and then my brother. We're the only 2 that was together that came out albino. And I even was teased by my siblings when I was little. She used to say little stuff at first. When we was little, she used to say little stuff until my mother got her straight. But, she would say stuff like, y'all not our real family and stuff like that. But, I learned that as I got older, that was just sibling rivalry. She didn't mean that. So, I thank God for even the bad times that I went through, because it built me and made me who I am today. I'm a stronger person today. I don't let stuff like that bother me. I have a daughter that does. Sometimes she gets a little bit defensive about people staring at me, and I just tell her to don't do it. I'm like, hey, I'm good. It's not a problem. It's okay. Let them stare. As long as they don't touch, they can stare. And I go on. But I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm thankful for my daughter, my baby girl, who thought enough to do this. And my 4 children are my biggest inspiration. They keep me going. I love my kids, and they are my biggest inspiration. I can never think of a time that my kids were ever embarrassed to see me come to their school. More likely, if I wasn't able to come, they were mad because I wasn't able to make it. But as far as being embarrassed by me, I never saw that out of any of my kids. Never. So, your kids, I would say they helped to make me who I am today, because I was still learning about me when I was having kids. And so they helped build that self-love and helped me build this character that I have today through them, because they inspire me to push forward and be the best Dion I can be.
Yeah. I can say that growing up with an albino mom, and I won't go all the way into it, but she's told her story already. But she helped build our character in ways that we didn't even know we needed. I get it, because like she was saying, when people would stare and when people would point and laugh, we would be getting defensive, and we would be more angry than her. Like she would look at us and all of us and tell us, baby, like she said, I've been talked about and laughed at my whole life. I'm used to it. She said in those moments, she would teach us so many lessons. Just in a moment like that, it would turn into a lesson just like that. And that helped build our character, because in our eyes, we was just like, that's our mama. Like, what you want to do? Because we didn't understand why. Like, we didn't look at her as she was different, but they did, because like she said, they were not educated and they didn't know what albinism was. Sometimes they would think, what's this white lady doing with all these black kids? Like, if her hair was straight. If her hair was straight, it's not the looks that we got sometimes would amaze people. And we stayed in a small town, of course, but just the reason why I wanted to do this, just to get it out there. Yes, there's, like she said, other albino people. There's other stories out there, but her story is unique, and her story is like her story. So what y'all need to do is help make this go viral. Like, she needs to tell Dr. Phil, Ellen, all of them, because she loves to tell her story. And like she said, she's overcome so much just through having albinism. Like, if she didn't have it, who's to say she wouldn't have the amazing characteristics and the character that she possessed already? She's like, if we just go into detail on how many people she's helped, how many people she's helped build their character or helped build their self-esteem to where they did believe in themselves, to where they did believe that they could do anything. No way in the world I would have made it to where I am today without her pushing me and constantly, and we're going to talk about the abuse, but constantly giving words of wisdom and just telling me, like, because she knew as a parent that I wasn't a C student. So she didn't allow me to bring C's home. And whereas I had siblings that they could bring C's home. But I didn't understand that. I had no clue why there was a difference made. But now that I see, like, you don't find many parents like this. They're the same with all the children, and they don't understand, like, the differential, specifics in there. And plus, she was an educator too, so we'll have to give her that. But just things like that help build my character. And like I said, that's why I wanted to have her. And although, like she said, albinism is not something that is just in African American people, but as a part of our history this month, I just wanted her to share her story and just kind of give some background on what you don't find on Google, what you cannot look up. Her experiences.
That's right.
Her experiences. So you can't find that, like I said, by research, but just hearing her, and not this tell her story, but this educates people on how to properly try and treat a person who has albinism, because they already have to find their place in the world to fuse together with other people, and then to have their own people treating them, a certain kind of way. Like, we already have so many odds against us as a race, and then to also that albinism on top of that just gives you more fight. But if you have that fight in you, you can make it. Like she said, she overcame all the obstacles and everything that was set out against her. So I don't want to keep going, but just, this is amazing. Like I said, y'all, help make this go viral whenever.
I just want to say one more thing.
Go ahead, Mama.
When you was talking about, you made me think about when you said, who is this? People would be looking and saying, who is this white lady with all these little black children? I can remember it so well, when I had my first baby. Me and my oldest daughter have the same birthmark on us, on our thigh. And they brought my baby into the room with me. You know how after you have your baby or whatever, they bring the baby into the room with you and, let you hold the baby or whatever. And so the nurse brought the baby in the room with me, and she looked at my arm, my wrist thing, and she looked at my baby's thing around her leg. And she looked at me, and she looked at my baby. She looked at me, and she looked at my baby. And I can remember being a little bit defensive that day, and I can remember having quite a bit of attitude because I knew that was my baby. But what made me think about it was that same particular year, if people can remember, in '87, it was back in '87, there was a nurse that at this particular, well, I ain't gonna name the hospital, but it was at the same hospital that I had my baby at, that had actually let a total stranger take a person's baby. But you're gonna look at my thing, and then you looked at my baby's thing, and our things matched. But you let this person who's a total stranger leave with somebody else's baby from that hospital. So that really frustrated me, because here I am I'm validated, but I was, still looked at crazy, and but you didn't take enough time over here. I don't know if it was the same nurse or not, but if they did her that way, then they should have did the next person. I'm saying y'all all supposed to have the same type procedure that y'all use for checking to make sure that the parents and the baby match up.
Yeah.
Obviously you didn't, you know what I'm saying? So, that right there was very hurtful to me. That was one of the things that kind of pushed me a little bit further away from dealing with people, because, God had blessed me with a beautiful baby, my very first child. I was able to, look at my baby, and I already knew, because I had held her when I had her. So I knew we had the same birthmark on us. And I knew that, that was my baby, but they still gave me a problem with it, so, and I've had that to happen several times. They see me with all these little kids. I'm walking around with all these brown skinned children, and I'm over here just pale white, but all my kids either had some characteristics like their daddy or me. So they couldn't deny the fact that these was my kids. Even though they didn't have the same skin color as me, they still had some of my characteristics. So they was like, okay, something's going on here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm grateful for my children. I'm like I said again, yes, let's make this thing go viral so we can get this information out here and let people know that we are fearfully and wonderfully made by God.
All right. Thank you so much, Mama, just for accepting the invitation and just sharing your story. I know it may not be easy, and it could have been emotional, in there sometimes, just sharing some of those details. But just being that open and transparent with us, and like, we don't know who all will watch this video, so just being able to share that comfortably, I do appreciate that. And
you're welcome.
Please like this video and share it with somebody, because we're gonna make her go viral, her story, and she's gonna get to tell it on big, large stages. Okay, y'all. So anyway, I love you, Mom, and thank you.
I love you too, baby.
Taking this opportunity. Do you have anything else for them?
If I could give a little bit of advice to anyone who is dealing with insecurities or having some feelings that I have to tell y'all that the advice I would give you is to walk in your truth. Walk in your truth. And that's a big word, or that's a big statement when you really don't know your truth. If you don't know what you're dealing with, that's the reason why I tell people, get educated. Learn what you need to know about albinism. If you're educated, if you learn about albinism, walk in your truth. Once you learn about it, walk in your truth. Don't let nobody discourage you. Don't let nobody make you feel no different than you are. You're different, but everybody's different. God made us all in his own image, but we're all different in our own way. Everybody is different. Just like I said, I'm sure it's other albinos out there, and they got stories to tell just like I do, but my story is my story, and it's uniquely my story. Nobody else can tell you about me better than me. And so the best advice I can give you is to walk in your truth, no matter what it is. Go for what you know. Love yourself. Be who you want to be. Be the best at whatever you desire to be, and stand strong in it. Don't let nobody make you waver or lean or walk sideways or look down on yourself. Hold your head up high. Look forward and walk in your truth.
Yes, ma'am. Y'all heard what she said. Again, thank you for watching, and we hope to share some more with you. Bye, guys.
I would love to.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.